excited about today. Today's video is all about goal setting and profit planning. So this video is to answer the question, how much product should I buy? And you won't know how much product to buy if you don't know your sales goals and your profit goals. I know that when you're first starting out, it feels even more confusing because many of these numbers that you have to come up with to plan are just guesstimates. And that's totally okay. That's how all businesses get started. We start with an educated guess of our numbers, and only after our first year will we really know better what those numbers should be and what we can expect in the future. And the longer and longer that you're in business, the more you will be able to predict those numbers more accurately. For me personally, I always like to start with the most exciting number of all, and that's how much I eventually want to pay myself. And I don't care what that number is, if it's a really high number or if it's a really low number. I want you to really ask yourself how much you eventually want to make in this business. Why do you want to do this? Because while it is a passion for most of us, we still have to make money doing it. And so I start with this number because that's what motivates me. When I start with my profit goal, I can pretty much break down everything else and see what I need to do to be able to get to this number. Okay, so let me go show you how I do that. All right, let's get started. How much product to buy and setting your profit goals. I would definitely suggest getting a pen and paper for this part because you'll probably want to write some of this down. Okay, the first question to ask yourself is how much do you want to make from your boutique business? This number will drive everything else that you do in your business, and you can work backwards from it. Okay, let's break it down. Okay, come up with the number of how much do you want to profit. Really think about what you want that number to be on a monthly basis. Of course, this can change as time goes on, but this is going to be our starting point. For this example, let's say my monthly profit goal is $3,000. Now, the numbers I've chosen, I'm trying to make it simple and understandable for you. So if you have any questions, please make sure to comment in the comments and I will answer your questions. So now that I know that I want my monthly profit goal to be $3,000, I'm going to say that my total monthly sales is going to be $5,000. Now, I'm not taking into consideration in this example some of my overhead costs, taxes, things like that. Those are definitely things that you'll want to consider. But for this example, I am just going to keep it simple and go based off of sales and your profit goal. Okay, now let's talk about how I got to the total monthly sales being $5,000. I also know that my margin is going to be 60%. I would say that for each category or product category, your margin might be slightly different, and this is something that you'll have to explore depending on the category that you'll be selling in your boutique. But for me, I find that 60% margin is pretty standard for apparel. And so this example is going to be based on an apparel boutique. Okay, and I also know that my average wholesale cost for the apparel in my boutique is going to be $20. I came to this conclusion from doing market research for my target customer based on what I can afford, what type of boutique I'm going to start. All of those things you'll need to take into consideration when you're deciding what type of product to buy for your boutique. But I know, again, for this example, my average wholesale cost is going to be $20. And with my profit margin being 60%, I can then calculate what my retail price needs to be. So my average retail cost needs to be $50. Again, this is not taking into consideration any sales that you run, anything like that. We're taking everything really at face value here, just so you can get an overall idea of what your numbers are going to be. And I go into this a little bit more in depth with formulas and things like that inside of my online course. But again, I'm keeping it simple for you here today. Okay, so now that I know that my total monthly sales needs to be $5,000 for me to profit $3,000, let's talk about how much traffic we need to get to our site in order to make these sales. So how many website visitors do I need? Again, we're starting with our total monthly sales at $5,000, and we are going to assume a few numbers here. So I'm going to assume my website conversion rate is 2%. I would say average that I usually see is maybe 1.75% to 2.5%. This is all going to depend on, again, your type of product, how expensive your product is, things like that. But for the purposes of this example, we are going with 2%. And then we are going to assume that our average order value is $50. Now, our retail price was also $50. So what this is saying is that on average, our customer is only buying one thing on our website when they order. Ideally, we would like to see this number be higher than that because you would like your customer to be buying more than one thing when they come and visit your website. But again, I'm going to make the number simple. So we are going to go with $50 is the average order value from people visiting our site. Okay, so what that means is that from our total monthly sales, the number of orders that we need to get every month is 100. So you take that $5,000 and divide it by your average order value of 50, and that's how we got to our 100 orders. If your average order value was $100, then your number of orders would be 50. Okay, so we know that our orders are 100, and we can break it down even further, and that would mean that our orders per day are 3.333. And I like to break it down this far because I feel like 3 orders a day, or let's say 4 orders a day, that sounds doable to me. You know, that doesn't sound so scary like, oh man, I have to get 100 orders. Like, no, I just need to get 3 or 4 orders a day in order to meet my goals. Okay, so that means if my conversion rate is 2%, I need to get 100 orders in order to make my $5,000 monthly sales goal. That means I'm also going to need to get 5,000 visitors to my site in order to convert that 2%. That will give me the number of orders that I need. So if 5,000 people visit my website, that means that 100 people will most likely purchase based on the 2% conversion rate. Again, we're talking about targeted traffic here. We're not talking about any old traffic to your website. This is traffic that is your target customer. All right, so now I bet you're wondering, well, how much inventory do I need to buy then? Okay, so if our total monthly sales is $5,000 and the number of orders that we need to get to that $5,000 is 100, and our average order value is $50, which we just talked about these numbers, then that means that the total pieces that I need to buy is going to be 100 because we determined that with our average order value, they were purchasing about 1 piece for every order. So that means that the total pieces to buy are also going to be 100, which is going to be the same as our number of orders for this example. Okay, now I also know that my pre-pack quantity is going to be 6, and your pre-pack is just how many of each size comes in a predetermined quantity when you buy from your wholesale vendor. So say for example, this pre-pack is 6, so that probably means that there's 2 small, 2 medium, 2 large in this pack. If you're doing bottoms, that will probably be a little bit different. But for this, let's say I'm buying tops and dresses for my boutique, and they come in a pre-pack quantity of 6. That means that I am going to have to buy 16.6666. So let's say 17 different styles of product for my boutique. So I took my total pieces to buy, 100. I divided that by my pre-pack quantity, which is 6. And that gave me how many styles that I'll need to source and purchase for my boutique in order to meet all of my goals. Now, in this example, this is saying that, okay, if you bought this and you just completely sold out of it, that's how you would arrive at these numbers. So you may have to buy more than this in order to keep your boutique stocked. So definitely take that into consideration as well. Now that you know how many total pieces to buy, which was 100, and you know that your average wholesale cost is $20, that is going to give us our total initial inventory investment of $2,000. So now I know that I am going to have to save up in order to meet my profit goals for the month. I'm going to have to save up $2,000 to invest in inventory to get my boutique started. And in the end, that's going to give me my monthly profit goal of $3,000. So I know I just threw a ton of numbers at you, but I kind of wanted to break this down for you to show you what is possible and to show you how you can come up with these numbers for your boutique that make sense. And so you can figure out how much inventory you need to buy, how much profit you will make, how much sales that means that you need to make in your boutique every month, and then how to actually get those sales with your traffic. I've gone over various traffic strategies to actually get that traffic coming to your website in a video series that I did, How to Launch Your Boutique to Sales, which is also available on YouTube or Facebook for free. So you can go ahead and watch those as well. But if you do have any questions, make sure to comment below. I will try my best to answer them.